Yesterday was opening day for Major League Baseball, with the 2025 season finally underway. With the arrival of a new year, so brings the question, what is the greatest opening day game in MLB history? That's extremely subjective, of course, as we've seen many famous games and moments. One opening day game I do want to talk about that you might not be aware of comes from the 1998 season, and it's what I call the wildest opening day in Red Sox history. It's April 2nd, 1997, and the Boston Red Sox are on the road to face the Anaheim Angels. Coming into the season, let's just say expectations were not high for either team. The Red Sox were coming off a good but not great 1996 season, where they went 85-77 but missed the playoffs. They lost two key pieces to free agency in Roger Clemens and Jose Canseco, and were expected to take a step back in the standings. Two different sports writers predicted a fourth place finish for the club. The Angels were not far behind them. They were coming off a 91-loss campaign in 1996, with more moves going on behind the scenes than on the field. The team went under ownership changes, as Disney bought the franchise and renamed them from the California Angels to the Anaheim Angels. The two sports writers from before predicted a third place and fourth place finish, so hopefully that gives you an indication on what the two teams' expectations were. While they were projected to go nowhere in 1997, you never know what could happen. A win on opening day is the first step to making a surprise playoff push. Moving on to the game itself, veteran starter Mark Langston took the mound for the Angels in what would be the final opening day start of his long 16-year career. Boston put two runners on base in the first inning with one out, but Langston induced two groundouts to keep them off the scoreboard. As for the Red Sox, on the mound for them was Tom Gordon in what would also be his final career opening day start. After striking out the first two batters of the inning, center fielder Jim Edmonds hit a solo home run to strike first for Anaheim. That would be the only run of the frame, and it was 1-0 Angels. From here on out, both starting pitchers would constantly pitch in and out of trouble. In the second, the Red Sox had a runner reach base before Langston got bailed out on a great defensive play from second baseman Luis Alicea. In the bottom half, the Angels put two runners on base, but Gordon got Gary DiSarcina to ground out to end the frame. More of the same in the third. Boston had runners on the corners with two outs before Langston struck out Tim Naring to end the inning. When the Angels came to bat, they managed another run off Gordon. With the bases loaded and one out, Dave Hollins nearly hit into an inning-ending double play, but the throw from second was wild, allowing Alicea to score. This play was ruled a fielder's choice, but honestly, I think it should have been ruled an error. The ball arrives before the runner touches the bag, and it pulls the first baseman off it. Either way, that's all the Angels could manage, and they lead 2-0 after 3 innings. Langston was settled down in the fourth, striking out two batters en route to his first 1-2-3 inning of the game. He followed that up in the fifth by throwing another 1-2-3 inning. 5 scoreless innings so far with 5 strikeouts, and Anaheim still led 2-0 entering the bottom half. In that frame, Gordon induced a groundout and strikeout, but a single and walk put runners on the corners with 2 outs. That forced manager Jimmy Williams to go to the bullpen, and Vaughn Eshelman came in to pitch. Gordon's final line was 4 2/3 innings, 2 runs allowed, and 6 strikeouts. It's honestly amazing he only allowed 2 runs, given he also allowed 5 hits and 3 walks. Anyway, with runners on first and third, Eshelman got Garrett Anderson to pop out in foul territory to escape the jam. In the 6th inning, the Red Sox finally got to Langston. Tim Naring hit a solo home run for Boston's first run of the season, and it was now 2-1. That was the only run they managed, but the score wouldn't last as Anaheim retaliated in the bottom half. 3 singles load the bases with 1 out for Luis Alicea. With Eshelman still on the mound, Alicea lined the ball into right field, scoring Jim Lieritz and Gary DiSarcina, giving the Angels a 4-1 lead. Following the hit, Jimmy Williams comes out of the dugout to make another pitching change. Out goes Eshelman, and in to pitch is Butch Henry. With runners on first and second and 1 out, Henry gets bailed out by his defense. With both runners on the move, Jim Edmonds hits a bullet that's snagged by diving John Valentin, and he doubles up Alicia at first to end the inning. Speaking of John Valentin, he would come up clutch for Boston in his next turn at bat. Entering the 7th, Langston was taken out of the game, and his final line was 6 innings, 6 strikeouts, 3 hits, and 4 walks. Mike James came in from the bullpen to replace him, and immediately ran into trouble. He allowed a walk to Darren Bragg, and he stood at second base with 2 outs. On a full count pitch, Valentin lined the ball into left center field for a 2-out RBI single. Bragg came in to score, and the Red Sox got a run back to make it 4-2. Unfortunately for them, that was the only run they could muster that inning, and the Angels weren't done scoring either. In the bottom of the 7th, future Hall of Famer Eddie Murray stepped to the plate with runners on the corners and 1 out. He hit a high fly ball to left field that would score Dave Hollins on a sacrifice fly, and Anaheim went ahead 5-2. That was the 126th sacrifice fly of Murray's long 21-year career. He would finish with 128 sacrifice flies, the most of any player in MLB history. That RBI was also Murray's 1900 for his career, making him, at the time, the 9th player ever to reach that milestone. Moving on, it was the only run the Angels scored, and after both teams exchanged scoreless 8th innings, the game was heading to the top of the 9th with Anaheim ahead 5-2. In to pitch for the Angels here was their closer, Troy Percival. Now, it is no stretch to say that Troy Percival might have been the best relief pitcher in baseball at the time. Across his first 2 seasons in the big leagues from 1995 to 1996, Percival threw 148 innings where he recorded a 2.13 ERA, 226 adjusted ERA, and earned 6.5 WAR. Among all pitchers with a minimum 60 innings pitched across these 2 years, both Percival's ERA and adjusted ERA are the best marks. Yes, even if we set the minimum threshold by more than half the innings Percival pitched, he still comes out on top. Additionally, his 6.5 WAR was also the highest of any reliever in this span, exactly 1 point higher than the second best. Nobody was even close to touching his marks, so this save opportunity should be a breeze. Darren Bragg is the first man up to bat in the 9th, and Percival gets him chasing for the first out. Following Bragg was Nomar Garciaparra, and Percival struck him out for the second out of the inning. I don't think I need to thoroughly explain that this game is all but wrapped up. 2 outs in the 9th inning, and the Red Sox are down 3 runs, facing the best relief pitcher in baseball. According to win probability, they had less than a 1% chance to win this game following the Garciaparra strikeout. They're down to their final 3 strikes, but that's the great thing about baseball. No matter what the circumstances are, a team will always have at least the opportunity to come back. At bat now is John Valentin. He ripped a 1-0 pitch down the left field line into the corner, winding up on second base with a double to keep the game alive. Following Valentin was first baseman Mo Vaughn. Percival had a 2-2 count on Vaughn and issued a walk to him, bringing the tying run to the plate. Due up now was Reggie Jefferson, who didn't even start this game, but came in to pinch hit in the 7th inning and remained in the ball game as the designated hitter. Percival got ahead in the count 1-2 on Jefferson, and he hit a high chopper in front of home plate. Third baseman Dave Hollins couldn't handle it, and Jefferson reached first base. This play was ruled a hit, so even had Hollins fielded it cleanly, Jefferson probably would have beaten it out. Whatever the case, 3 straight batters have reached with 2 outs, loading the bases for Tim Naring. Tying run at first, go-ahead run at the plate. Percival got ahead in the count again, having an 0-2 count, but then proceeded to throw 4 straight balls to walk Naring and force in the run. 5-3 now, tying run at second, go-ahead run at first, and Will Cordero comes to the plate. For the second consecutive batter, Percival finds himself in a full count situation and continues his implosion by walking Cordero to force in another run. 3 walks to the last 4 batters, and now the tying run moves to third base and go-ahead run to second. At bat now is Rudy Pemberton, and I'd like to quickly talk about this player for a moment. I would be very surprised if you've ever heard of Pemberton before just now. His entire big league career consists of 147 plate appearances across 52 games in 3 seasons from 1995 to 1997. He platooned right field for Boston in 97 through the first 2 months, but was designated for assignment in June and never played in Major League Baseball ever again. Why am I mentioning all this? To show that no matter how short or forgettable a player's career might be, he can still be a part of a historic game or moment. For you see, this is what happened to Rudy Pemberton.
He's going to be hacking. Oh, he hit him. That one hit him. And we are tied at 5-5.
It might have been an anticlimactic RBI, but it's an RBI nevertheless. Rudy Pemberton drives home the tying run for Boston in one of the most improbable 9th inning comebacks in baseball history. Angels manager Terry Collins, 3 batters too late, takes Percival out of the game in what was one of the worst games of his career. After he was taken out, a pitcher by the name of Pep Harris was summoned from the bullpen. Much like Pemberton, Harris only played in 3 seasons, but saw more playing time, throwing 172 innings from 1996 to 1998. For someone that also had a short career, he too is a part of history.
Chop fair. Collins with the long throw, not in time, and the go-ahead run comes home. Tim Naring gives Boston a 6-5 lead.
4 runs when there were 2 outs and nobody on base. What a way to start your season. Of course, once the Red Sox scored the go-ahead run, did the Angels finally get that 3rd and final out. Darren Bragg, who started this inning with a strikeout, popped out to the catcher to end the frame, joining a short list of players to make 2 outs in a single inning. While the Red Sox were able to complete the impossible, the Angels still had a chance. Heathcliff Slocum came out of relief here to try to earn the save for Boston, and just like Percival, he also was one of the top relievers in the game. In a 3-year span from 1994 to 1996, Slocum had the 8th best ERA and 9th best adjusted ERA for all pitchers with a minimum 200 innings. If there was any pitcher in baseball to shut the door, he was one of the best choices. Jim Edmonds was up first, and while he went a yard in the first inning, he would ground out here for the first out. 1 pitch later, Tim Salmon grounds the ball to short, and Garciaparra throws it wild, but Mo Vaughn is able to tag Salmon on a great defensive play to retire him for the second out. However, Anaheim didn't give in so quickly. With 2 outs and nobody on base, Dave Hollins draws a 4-pitch walk to keep the game alive. Following him was Garrett Anderson, who, on a 1-2 count, hits a ground ball up the middle that's fielded by Valentin, but Anderson is just able to beat out the throw for an infield hit. Tying run moves to scoring position. Now to the plate is Eddie Murray, and wouldn't you believe it, he draws a walk to load the bases. Deja vu in the 9th inning. Hold everything now. Troy Percival might have had an implosion in the top half, but the Angels have a chance here to negate that. At bat now is once again somebody you're probably not familiar with, Jorge Fabregas. This was Fabregas' first at bat of the game here, as he came in as a defensive replacement in the top of the 9th, taking over as the catcher. Fabregas played 9 seasons in Major League Baseball, where, in nearly 2,000 plate appearances, he had a career 57 adjusted OPS. Granted, he was coming off the best season of his career in 1996. That year, he hit .287, which includes a sharp .323 average across his final 54 games. In a situation where a single wins it, he's a solid choice for Anaheim. Just to continue building tension, Slocum gets ahead in the count 1-2, but proceeds to throw 2 straight balls for a full count. On the 3-2 pitch, Fabregas bloops the pitch into left field, but Cordero is there to make the catch and win the game for the Red Sox. In what has to be one of the wildest opening day games in baseball history, Troy Percival and the Angels blew a 3-run lead with 2 outs in the 9th. Heathcliff Slocum and the Red Sox nearly did the same, loading the bases with 2 outs before escaping by the thinnest of margins to win the ballgame 6-5. In the end, this game wouldn't have any impact on the standings, as both teams missed the playoffs by a fair margin. Nevertheless, Boston wound up with one of their craziest wins of all time, and they were able to accomplish it on day 1 of the season, the wildest opening day in Red Sox history.